I invite you to take 3 deep breaths. 1 to relax the mind. 1 to relax the body. And 1 to connect with your heart space. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. And imagine your ideal self, healthy and whole, walking along a grassy hill. Behind you, there is the edge of a forest filled with trees and birdsong. Somewhere at the bottom of the hill, out of your sight, there is the sound of gently moving water. In front of you, the sky is blue, and you feel a light breeze on your face. The temperature is perfect. In this space, breathe in the breath of God that makes all life holy. Breathe in the breath of God that brings you empowerment. Breathe in the breath of God that brings enjoyment and delight. Breathe in the breath of God that is filled with love. Breathe in the breath of God that brings you inspiration. And once more, breathe in the breath of God that makes all life holy. Imagine now you are turning away from the hill. You are walking back toward a path in the forest. That path will bring you back to this time and this place. As you walk along the path through the forest, feel completely empowered. Feel your enjoyment and delight in life. Feel the love that flows from you and into you. Feel the inspiration as it fills your cup and overflows. Take a few more steps and a breath or two. And when you're ready, come back to the room. So this summer, I have been quite inspired by all our guest speakers. I've enjoyed the variety of not only the topics, but also the various approaches, and hearing other spiritual seekers teach me how to expand my spiritual consciousness. So some of the folks said they liked the storytellers. Other people told me they liked the practical messages, like Stephen Lane Taylor's or Bill Dicker's talk on the 4 Agreements. I like the deeply metaphysical talks, the ones that dive into the spiritual reality that is all around us, like the message entitled The Power Within You by Hazel Bowman. I'm sure most of you had a favorite talk from the summer, and this is your chance to think about it. You may not remember the speaker's name or the actual talk title, but you remember how it made you feel. And you remember how it inspired you. So I want you to turn to the person in front of you, behind you, next to you, and take a minute and share the messages that you liked. Go. Did you like any of them? Did you like any of them? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm going to bring you all back. Thank you very much for sharing. I heard everything from very specific talks with suggestions all the way to it all blends together, right? But there were good messages, right? We had some really good talks from there. But I really loved your enthusiasm. Like people really had something to say. And we've been privileged to hear some really good stuff. All of our guest speakers have given me inspiration and made me excited as I started planning the 2025-2026 adult education program. From our speakers this summer, I've been asked to create some of our classes based around the topics or the books that were mentioned. So it has been many years since I read the Toltemic wisdom book, The Four Agreements. How about you? By Don Miguel Ruiz. So since the last time I studied it, my life has changed fairly dramatically. And I'm sure your life has changed too. It might be time to look at those four agreements as they apply to life today, right now. In September, Bill Dicker and I are going to co-lead a class on the four agreements, and I'm excited for that to happen. Another class that will be offered is inspired by Robert Brumet's book, Finding, there's the four agreements, I had to show and tell, Finding Yourself in Transition. So I took that class with Reverend T way back in 2016 when I first moved here. It was super helpful. So it's a great book and can be applied anytime your life moves into a season or a transition. Some transitions are huge, life-altering events like getting married or changing careers, losing a spouse, or becoming a grandparent. Other transitions can be more subtle, like acknowledging the signs of aging in your own body, finding friends in a new city, or starting a new hobby. This winter, Unity will host a class on transitions. I'm open to co-leading the class, so if there's somebody out there who would like to do that with me, give me a call. Okay? It's an open invitation. We heard a few talks on prayer this summer, and Susan Herman approached me with an idea that is really shifting my consciousness. Susan confessed to me that after our spirit circle on prayer, when we studied the Unity book, Discover Your Divinity, Affirmative Prayer, she came away with nothing. I was shocked. I thought that was a really great explanation of and step-by-step guide to affirmative prayer. But Susan finally realized these books on prayer are not effective for her because she doesn't pray in words. For someone like me who spends most of my life working with words and speaking and writing, I was stymied. So how do you pray if you don't use words? Susan gets pictures, visuals, flashes of images. Think about your most effective and heartfelt prayers. Did you use words? Or does your prayer communication come in images? Emotional feelings, sounds of nature or music. Maybe you pray through tactile encounters. From our conversation, Susan and I are going to co-lead a very different kind of class on prayer. Our inspiration comes from two sources. Susan read the book, What If It All Goes Right by Mindy Odlin. Mindy is a Unity leader, and she created the spirit groups for New Thought churches, that whole concept. The book was a game changer for Susan's prayer life. Ever since she taught me the concept, I have experienced wave after wave of goosebumps and giggles. Yes, actual giggles. So while Susan was reading this adult book, I was reading a children's book on the same theme. My book is called Avocado Feels a Pit Worried. And it's by pediatric psychologist Brenda Mills. She says, not all what ifs are worryful. Some can be wonderful. This book is from Imagination Press, which is an imprint of the American Psychological Association. It's a book with a strategy to address worry and anxiety in children who think in what ifs. And it's not just for kids. There are several pages in the back of the book to help parents understand anxiety, worry, and how to redirect what if thinking. Clearly, this book is from a neuropsychological point of view, but you know me, I can't read anything without seeing the metaphysical messages. While it's reassuring that the new thought approach to co-creating with God using our thoughts and emotions is backed by research scientific evidence, it is still a matter of faith to use our thoughts and feelings to create the direction of our lives. As people of faith, we trust and live the divine spark within and consciously take steps toward our highest and best. Clearly, Susan and I are on a somewhat different source in coming to this idea, but in October, she and I will co-lead a class based on those two books called What If? What if prayer was easy and life was fun? I hope you'll come and play with us when we do that class. Our next year's calendar is filled with great offerings, including a spirit circle on gratitude that will come this winter. We're going to have a lot of specialty workshops, one on music and meditation, and some intergenerational church social events that will get us all together for laughter and community. All this planning and imagining and dreaming up and then scheduling has made me ponder the role of inspiration in a faith journey. I guess it really started when we held our Saturday, July 19th, Honoring a Year of Prayer event. I was impressed by how many people came with ideas to share concerning the education building, the parking lots, and the memory garden with a water feature. A year ago, the Board of Trustees bundled these three items together because each one requires a sizable investment. The year of prayer was to look at the whole picture and see all possibilities. Folks brought ideas with them to share, but there were also a great deal of synergy going on as combining ideas and making practical solutions. This week I was typing all of that up for the board, those suggestions, those ideas, those next steps and research we need to take before we can act on anything. But it was all about moving forward. I felt really inspired by the creativity and the willingness of our congregation members to, 1, dig in, 2, release old ways of doing things, and 3, dream big to help the Board of Trustees look forward to the future. Inspiration is all about looking forward. Inspiration can come when all is good in your life and you're especially open to that divine spark of a new way of thinking or being. And inspiration can come when you're stuck, when something needs to change. So let's look at finding inspiration when you're stuck. When Einstein said you can't solve a problem using the same thinking that created the problem, he was right. Sometimes to get out of a stuck place or a deep hole, inspiration has to strike. You need a new thought. In her famous poem, An Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters, American poet Portia Nelson illustrates that inspiration often comes after failure. You may have heard this poem before. It is often attributed to Buddhist monks, Zen philosophers, or anonymous. But now you know, it was written by Portia Nelson. And I forgot my reading glasses today, so I got these out of the Lost and Found, in case you're missing yours. Okay. So, autobiography in 5 short chapters. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. You can see in her autobiographical poem, Portia experiences a blip, a setback, a reoccurring problem. Whoa, sorry. At the beginning, she doesn't take responsibility for her part in the problem or situation. She insists it's not my fault. Yet, as the poem continues, she both takes responsibility for her part and she admits falling into the hole has become a habit. She also progresses by shortening her time of being blocked into the problem, the situation, or the negative thinking. So you might think the victory is in chapter 4, where she acknowledges there's a deep hole in the sidewalk and consciously walks around it. That is one solution, to continue on in your life with new awareness and knowledge of what to avoid. But inspiration moves the journey forward. In chapter 5, we see that Portia is inspired to expand, to discover, explore, and she walks down a different street. Inspiration helps us to turn a corner, make a new choice, see with new eyes. While I was teaching at Long Beach Community College, I found myself trudging through my life, putting one foot in front of the other, teaching my classes, grading papers, going to endless meetings, and solving an ever-revolving door of problems as the head of the department. One night, as I was eating my takeout food, I opened my fortune cookie, and it said, "Look up." Ding, 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 right? Look up. Life is not meant to be trudged through. Life is filled with endless wellspring of joy, of hope, of peace, of love. None of those nouns are synonymous with trudge. The inspirational message from my fortune cookie hit me like a freight train. I told myself, look up. It was time to wake up and be conscious of what was happening in my own life. If my current running on a hamster wheel existence wasn't the life I wanted, then it was time to make some changes. I have to say, once I recognized I was trudging and that I was stuck, the way forward came with ease and grace. All I had to do was follow the opportunities as they flowed into my life. Inspiration can also strike when everything is going well in life. Early in my teaching career, I was driving home from my middle school job. I was really happy to be teaching. It was a second career for me, and teaching filled me with joy, a sense of purpose, and exciting intellectual challenges. So life was good. I was driving home down the 405 freeway, listening to the local classical music station and just smiling from ear to ear. I love orchestral music. I don't care if it's Brahms or John Williams, that's the kind of music I like. Even so, I rarely know the name of the piece I'm listening to or the composer. I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I just enjoy the music. So the radio announcer comes on and says, "Coming up," which I normally just tune out, but this time I heard it clearly. "Coming up, Adagio for Strings" by Samuel Barber. The music started. This was the most amazing piece of music I had ever heard. I was feeling the music intensely, and the world just fell away. When the piece ended, there were tears streaming down my face. I missed my freeway exit, and I was spaced out experiencing the music. I had to send a prayer up to God and whatever guardian angels were around that kept me from getting into an accident. As I exited the freeway to figure out where I was and how to get home, I felt inspired, excited, alive. I thoroughly enjoyed my concert moment in the car. That night, I made a list of all the things that brought me joy and made me feel inspired. I found out that the Long Beach Symphony offered season tickets at a discount for teachers, so I bought one. I looked for dance classes in the Parks and Recreation offerings and enrolled. The library was offering a monthly club for aspiring writers, and I put the date and time on my calendar. I decided I wanted to learn to ski. Well, that would never happen. But I found joy in just making the list. There were more items on my list, and with the exception of skiing, I gave everything a try. Some things I loved and continue to do, like going to the symphony, taking ballroom dancing classes, paper crafting, and group exercise. But others were not for me. It turns out I have absolutely no talent for hip-hop dancing. Inspiration is all about looking forward. When you are open to living in divine flow, choices are everywhere. As you trust and live in the divine spark within, inspiration flows to you. It doesn't matter if everything is going right or if you're currently feeling stuck and in a deep hole. Divine inspiration can hit you from any source. So open up those fortune cookies. Feel the divine in music or nature. Read that book that's been sitting on your nightstand all this time. Start a conversation with someone you perceive can be a good friend. Take an interesting class here at Unity or at the college in Ollie. Take an intentional step toward your highest and best and enjoy the inspiration that follows. Your homework, or as Glenn likes me to say, your application for today's message is this. Make your own written list of activities, places, and people that bring you joy and make you feel inspired and alive. Let that be step one. Keep in mind, inspiration is always moving forward. Inspiration helps you and me to turn a corner, make a new choice, and see with new eyes. God bless and have an inspired week.